Okay, so apex, apex. Make sure that you anchor your side seam, and then under the armhole, waistline on the side seam. This is my princess seam. If I just run my fingers through my princess seam, that is Valentine fabric already, okay? So princess seam, and then make sure that you anchor your, I'm not pulling the fabric, I'm just tapping the fabric here. Make sure that you anchor your neckline and your shoulder seam. Got it? Okay. So, now, which is something that we already did, we go around and shape this. Tell the fabric what shape is going to take, right? Actually, let me do this side, which I haven't done this. And the shoulder. Yes? We're good? Then we open center front, done, and center front at the top, and it's literally on the grain line, so that shouldn't be that. Tap, tap. I'm going to anchor my neckline just so I can see it because there's a lot of insertion there. Now, you have already done this, but actually forgot to do this. And the first time around, you shape this and you shape your neckline going up. Hey. See that? Okay, so now notches, the outside notches first. Notice how I'm turning my, literally my body around with it, right? There. There. Okay. This is important as well. Actually, I have too much fabric here. I'm gonna cut a little bit more. There. Okay, good. Now it's, I'm confident that it's opened up a little bit. So I'm gonna come closer to that. I'm gonna find my princess seam, right here in the base of my waistline. Princess seam. There's a little bit of fabric in here, so what I'm going to do is just put another pin on my princess seam. I'm not pulling the fabric, I'm just tapping the fabric solid, okay? Please do, so that's my princess seam. So right in the middle, I'm making everything halfway, right? At this point, I'm also going to make sure that my grain line is still on the seam line. To make sure that you're not moving it. There's an ease there. I'm gonna release this point because there's gonna be an ease. Wait. Which I want to keep. I don't wanna get rid of this. So I'm just pinning against the fabric, the side that you are draping on. Okay, so a little bit more in here. Let me just put another one just so I can tap it there. The bottom of that, bottom of here, make sure that you're right at the point. You're anchoring right at the point, not in between, because then it's not taking anything. At this point, I can see that this is running a little straight. Again, I'm going to come a little bit closer. Terrible cutting there. And this is also a little bit out, so I'm gonna get another. Actually, before I do that, tap, tap, tap. It's running a straight grain line here, and anchor your armhole. Okay. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer in here. I think so. A little too close, but that's fine. Now, there's ease here, there's ease here, there's ease everywhere. Nothing is like very... So, I need to look at it from the front. Let's It's fine. Super important. At this point, I want to start shaping. Somebody tell me what this is. The 0 point to my dart is somewhere between 3/8 of an inch to an inch below and over the highest, the apex.
I thought we decided on 3/4.
3/4 to an inch is generally, and I am going to just eyeball it to before it starts wanting to shape. So there's no specific measurement. Once again, you're filling and you're draping. I never give measurements in general, but that's and about. That is my 0 point. You anchor those points. They will not move. They cannot move. Especially once you're trying to shape things, you cannot move those points. Okay? Okay, so I have my armhole anchor. I have this anchor. What I know is that I'm going to do one dart in the princess seam and one dart on the armhole. On the bust line. There's still too much ease for my liking here. I'm gonna try to divide that in half, right? So I do wanna have some ease in here, but I'm gonna try to release that in here. And I actually looks like I cut too much, so be careful. You see how close I'm coming to here? You don't wanna do that. Make sure that you are leveling that. So I'm gonna do that a little more there. My armhole right here. Now, I'm finding the bottom of my armhole because now I'm going to let go of this. There's a square here where the two darts are gonna come from. See that? That line and this line. You see that? Okay, so what and how am I getting this? Again, I'm not giving you any measurements for the darts. There are very specific measurements in textbooks, of course, for drafting. What I'm doing is that I'm dividing the fabric or the material that I'm draping. I am not pulling the fabric. I'm just sort of eyeballing how much fabric they can be. And then I'm gonna find my anchoring point again at the bottom. And I cannot see it. If you guys see it, I'm not able to balance it. So let me look at it from a straight view here. It looks like I have about, maybe a little bit more at the bottom and no, about this, the right balance there. Maybe a tiny bit more at the top. Okay, I'm not pulling it, I'm just tapping it in place. From the top, I find where my dart would be, which is the bust line here. And then from the bottom, I have already done that right here, right? So half of that fabric goes to the top. Lightly just put them together. And then same here. Because there will not shape unless I come and do notches around. There's a little bit of ease in here. So I'm just gonna try pushing the ease towards the side so it doesn't get confused. Right now it doesn't know what to do because the notches are not there yet. Okay, now I'm gonna go around and notch my fabric. Notch on both sides. I'm gonna cut a little bit more so I can come closer to it. Now I'm confident that I don't need all of this extra fabric that I have here. So I wanna notch on both sides. Do move your pins around, but make sure that they are right next to each other on both sides. See that? On the princess seam, with the direction of the seam, you want to do the little slash, which is going to be your notch. Same here. Side seam. There's already a notch right there, but I'm gonna come closer to it, just like I did before. Notch again. Wait, again, I'm not able to see facing you. Yeah. Again, you see how my notch moving here? So I want to make sure that I go back and notch it again and notch in both directions, 90 degrees with the seam line. And here, now that I have notched that, I'm gonna see if I can get rid of a little bit more of that ease up here. Right in the middle of the dart, the 2 points, try to find your space. just by putting those two pins together. It seems a little bit small to me. I'll double check once I do my pattern and I come and check again. Notch from the top, from the bottom, then notch from the top. And notch in the armhole, notch. You want to follow your shoulder line and find that direction with the side seam, and then find your notch there. Double check your notches at the top, make sure that they haven't moved. That one looks like it's a tiny bit over, so I'm gonna go back in there. There, and you see how it just tried to relax itself already. And again, princess seam notch comes with the princess seam and also with the seam line and the shoulder. So the 90 degrees angle for those two, okay? There's a little bit too much ease in here, but now that I have notches everywhere, I can see if I can come a little bit closer. The neckline seems to be a little bit more, so I'm releasing those. See if I can tap halfway. This pan right here is halfway between the shoulder line and the center front, okay? Now I'm gonna see if I can just tap a little bit more of that towards the shoulder. I'm getting a little bit too close for my liking there, but I still have enough fabric in there. Find the princess seam notch here, and then I want to double check. Is there enough? I could possibly still move a little bit more of that in here, especially this being smaller than that. Let me see if I can try. I'm coming too close to my liking. But I think I can manage. So all of that ease is gonna go into my dart. I'm not gonna move the one at the bottom, I move the one at the top and cup with my pen. So that would get notched again, and this would have to be at a 90-degree angle. So it's too close, but it's still fine. So start right there. And then ease at the top on here. This is anchored already. This is fine, actually. There's another notch. You see how this is going in this direction? What I want to do is start at the 90-degree angle at the center front. Make sure that your fabric is not hanging like mine was, because that just pushes the weight over. So start at 90-degree angle. I'm gonna move this direction minus to the bottom so I can actually do the pinning in here. 90-degree angle, and then go up on the side seam or in the shoulder line. So it actually dips in like a circle, okay? This pen right here is halfway between the shoulder and, is it? Yes. Between the shoulder and the center front, and that is a notch. The notch should be marked not straight, but an angle with the direction of the neckline. The neckline actually goes forward, right? So not straight, but with the direction of the neckline. That's how this notch needs to be marked. Okay? Got it? And the ease at the shoulder. Now that this is enough, secure, there's enough ease, but it's not too tight, not too loose, right? That stays, that does not move, so let me anchor that. Then I'm gonna release this, because then I wanna find a little bit of ease at the bottom. By putting my fingers here, it's adding some ease right there. Do you see that? This is anchored, this has not moved, but it's finding some ease right here, and then I will pin it back again. For those that shoulder seams are going forward, mine is as well, follow this one. That's gonna give you the 90-degree angle. These things are made by humans, and that's also for tailoring. I'll explain that later, but for now, just find your degree angle with your side seam that is going all the way to the top, right there. And then that is your final notch. We just added about 3/8 to 1/2 inch of ease on the front, okay? Double check your notches around. I think this one moved a tiny bit once I moved that over, so I'm gonna double check that. I think that's it. Anything else? How does it look from over there? Yeah, marking this. Turn it off and then we